Good morning. My name is Megan Edwards of Focus Communications, and today we're getting an introduction to Tincorp Metals, which trades on the Toronto Venture Stock Exchange under the symbol TIN. Joining me is CEO of Tincorp, Gord Neal. Gord, we appreciate you coming on the show today.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Megan. Thank you.
So, Gord, for our viewers who may not be familiar with the Tincorp story, could you please give us a brief introduction to the company and your portfolio of projects in Bolivia?
Yes, Tincorp is actually part of a sister company group, the Silver Corp, New Pacific Metals, and Tincorp. We have two projects in Bolivia, the Porvenir Project and the SF Tin Project. And our largest shareholder is Silver Corp, and Silver Corp is also the largest shareholder of New Pacific. And there's a reason that we're all joined, because we got experience in Bolivia. I got experience in Bolivia from being the president of New Pacific. And then when I joined the company at Tincorp, they said, why don't we go back to Bolivia? You had success in Bolivia. And Feng, who's the chairman of and CEO of Silver Corp and the CEO of New Pacific, found these two tin projects and said, what do you think about tin? I said, well, I know silver very well, but I've also learned from people like Feng and Dr. Peter McGaw at Mag Silver that as long as you have grade in tons, you have at least a 10-year mine life and good grade, the market will understand that, and there's a big need for tin. So that's why we got into tin in Bolivia, and those are our two projects.
All right. Now, before we take a deeper dive into your Porvenir project, let's discuss Bolivia. So you've had many years of success in the country, previously as president of New Pacific Metals, and now with this company, Tincorp. Bolivia seems to still be a jurisdiction that is somewhat unknown to the broader investment community. What intrigues you about the Bolivian opportunity?
We thought the geology that it was underexplored. The government of Bolivia is now looking at foreign investment. In the past, the government of Bolivia between 1985 and 2005 had 35 different presidents. So it was difficult for any mining company to get any traction under those conditions.
Right.
But Evo Morales came in 2005, and he was the first indigenous president of Bolivia, and came in from 2005 to 2019. And he created a situation where foreign investment was welcome. It's got a long history of mining. As I said, it's underexplored, and the people are really easy to deal with. The communities understand mining, and my history of working at New Pacific and helping to set the infrastructure up there with the geologists and all of the infrastructure that we set up in terms of the corporation, the offices, and the drill programs allowed me to go back in and look for tin.
So you've had experience with large-scale polymetallic deposits in the country, but now you've directed your attention to tin. You don't typically see tin as a main focus for Canadian companies. So can you give us a bit of a background on the tin market?
Yeah, so tin is a critical metal. It's a critical metal in Canada, the United States, China, Russia. China is the biggest producer of tin and the biggest consumer. Bolivia is the sixth largest producer in the world. They call tin the metal that binds, is the glue. So every electronic component that you have, your phone, your monitor, your television, your electric car, all have semiconductors in them, and those semiconductors are primarily made of tin connections. So that's why they call it the glue that binds. One of the biggest growth markets for tin right now, actually the biggest use for tin, is in solder. And it's the soldering of those connections on the semiconductors, which is its largest use. But one of the biggest growth parts of tin right now is a thing called solar ribbons. It's a green metal too, obviously, and solar ribbons connect all the solar panels that you put together. And their solar ribbon is actually a copper wire, but it's coated with tin. And so it's the biggest growth portion of tin right now, of the tin market right now, is solar ribbons. And as you can see on this slide, China again is the biggest producer, but the reserves of tin are also declining. So that, again, will affect price. So we had a big price jump in 2021 to $50,000 a ton from $17,000 a ton. And that was primarily because of reserves declining, a little bit because of COVID and people staying at their homes and ordering appliances and monitors, etc. And it's dropped back from 50 to $29,000 a ton. That's primarily the tin market. And on the value side, 1% tin is equal to about 3.4% copper, or 4.6 grams per ton silver, or 377 grams per ton silver.
Now let's chat about your Porvenir project before we discuss your latest drill results. Can you walk us through the property and perhaps some of the history of the project?
Yeah, the Porvenir Project is in the Oruro district, and it is 48 kilometers on paved road from the Huanuni mine. The Huanuni mine is the largest tin mine in Bolivia, and actually is the one that makes it the sixth largest producer in the world. It was actually, our Porvenir project was owned and operated by the Japanese company called Bolivia Metals between 2007 and 2011. They drilled 88 holes, 25,000 meters. We just completed a drill program, and you saw the first. We just put out one of our first holes, but it is a polymetallic, but primarily tin and zinc and lead with some silver. The concession is 11.25 square kilometers, and some of the results that Dawa got, the highlight results they got, were quite high silver levels. 941 grams per ton here, as you see, 6% lead, 28% zinc, 10% tin. That's off the chart, and 500 grams per ton indium. So those were their highlight holes. But we came up with about 2.25% tin over 21 meters in our last hole, which is equivalent to about 8% copper, or 10.5 grams per ton gold.
During our conversations with other Bolivian explorers, you always see artisanal mining as the first clear-cut target for exploration. At Porvenir, you not only have that historic small-scale mining, but the property also benefits from having some historic core to work from. Can you talk a bit about this and how it may have helped guide this early drilling?
Well, that's interesting. You can see when I was at New Pacific, we used a lot of artisanal mining dumps, and to give us a directional finder on the strike and the direction of Mineralization. It's the same thing as we have here for Porvenir. You can see on this slide here that there's a northwest trending vein, northwest vein 1. There's a large slot in the middle of that red line there, and that slot was taken out by artisanals. It's about, I'm going to say, 30 or 40 feet deep. That would have been very high-grade tin that they were taking out of there. However, the two veins you can see to the right of, or to the west of the northwest vein, that are going straight up and down, the north-south 1 and the north-south 2, were actually discovered through our drilling, and also with Ray Feng. Ray Feng, who's our largest shareholder and the chairman of Silvercorp, is the head of our technical team. He went out, we looked at the dumps that went north-south, and we determined that there are north-south structures that intersect with this northwest vein 1. And you can see the dotted lines there. We see more dumps. You can see those dotted white spots in those red dotted lines. Those are just more dumps. It gives us, again, another direction finder, an indicator that the artisanal workers had been taking ore out of there. So it allows us to follow their path. And most of the time, artisanal miners don't look for low-grade stuff. They need high-grade ore for it to work. So it is a good indicator that you're going to have some kind of structure running below those dumps. And it's been very, very successful for us.
So earlier this week, the company announced your first results from your maiden drill program at Porvenir, which includes an impressive intercept of tin mineralization. Gord, could you walk us through the results from this first hole?
Yes, this is DPOV001, which is in black here on this slide, which is our first hole. It actually is a 25-meter step out from Dawa's PV41 hole. And you can see here the three vein structures that I was alluding to in the last slide. The north-south vein 1 is to the left, and in the center is north-south vein 2. And the northwest vein 1 intersects or cuts across those further north. Where we cut across those three veins, you can see that the intercept hit 120 meters of 0.6% tin, 6 grams per ton silver, 1.1% zinc, 0.07% copper, and on a silver equivalent basis, that's 284 grams per ton silver equivalent. But the highlight of the hole, the highest grade section of the hole, was 21.6 meters at 2.2% tin, 21 grams per ton silver, 3.3% zinc, 0.2% copper for about 1,000 grams per ton silver equivalent. This is high grade stuff. And we're very encouraged by this. And we were able to, again, find that these veins, these north-south veins, were the ones that we thought when we saw the workings on top in the dumps. They actually were verified by this drill hole. So again, at 2.2% tin, you're talking about 9% copper, or 11 grams per ton gold. So this is a very high grade indication. We like the fact that there's 125 meters of 0.6. Again, that gives us, as I said earlier, you need grade and you need scale. And so this is an indicator that we do have grade and scale. We are only interested as a group in economic mining, meaning if a deposit or if a project doesn't look like it's going to have grade and scale and can support itself. Even though we've spent money on it, we will walk away from something that does not look like it can support itself economically.
So is the target of this maiden drill program to confirm historical results and workings, or is Tincorp also looking to expand the known mineralized footprint of the Condor NASA structure?
Well, this is Condor NASA here, and we have expanded it by doing this. I mean, we only knew the time of the northwest vein, the northwest vein 1, but by drilling underneath and following the artisanal workings, we are now convinced that there are more veins on Condor NASA, and we believe that this is to the west of the northwest vein. We believe, as I showed on the earlier slide, which I believe is here, that you can see these dotted line structures. We believe there are more north-south veins on the Condor NASA part of the project. So we will be testing those on our next drill campaign.
And to cap things off, are there any final thoughts you'd like to leave our audience with on Tincorp?
Yeah, I think what I'd like to do is talk about the group itself, because I talked about how successful we were. One of the things that we do well is, as a group, we've worked together successfully in the past. So it's Silvercorp, New Pacific, and my background at Mag Silver. So we have a history of success. Silvercorp is in my opinion, is the best silver company on the planet and in the space. Rifeng is a serial entrepreneur in mining. He's a PhD, but he likes to find things, but he likes things to be economic. So we have been successful. He's been successful with Silvercorp. Silvercorp has $200 million in cash, $160 million in junior mining investment, has returned $560 million to investors, has never sold another share since 2011, so it's anti-dilutive. New Pacific brought me in to help him run New Pacific as president between 2017 and 2021. And Silvercorp or New Pacific now has the silver sand project in Bolivia, 215 million ounces of silver at about 115 grams per ton at surface. Some of it starts at surface. That will be an economic mine. Carangas is probably twice the size of silver sand. So we are a group that finds and brings to market economic deposits and operations. And I'm proud to be associated with a company that has constantly created value for shareholders over the 20 years that I've been in this business. So I just wanted to make that point.
Perfect. Many thanks, Gord. Our viewers will be anticipating our next discussion as Tincorp continues to achieve and approach new milestones. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Megan.